What's up Saab fans around the world, and welcome back to another video. So it's time again to continue the work on the rear wheel drive build. So I have been doing some small modifications. I reached out to Isaac at DO88 and said that I need to have the logo in the front of the intercooler, just like those Jap cars has Nismo and etc. DO88 Performance, I repped them to the fullest, so I reached out to Isaac and he was kind enough to send me out a decal. I just posted this on Instagram in my story, so I put the decal on, painted it matte black, removed the decal, then put on some matte clear coat, so now I think it will withstand a little bit of beating. And it sits where it is because it will be in the hole of the bumper, so the logo will fill out this space right here. I think it will look so clean. But today we are going to continue to do the piping for the intercooler and the delivery pipe. So here I have a bunch of 3-inch piping. We got some DO88 silicone hose, we got some couplings to attach the vacuum hose and etc. And just look at this comparison. This is the OEM delivery pipe on the 2000 Aero. And just look at this. Look at this pipe compared to this pipe. Quite a big difference. So I think it will be able to breathe a lot easier. And there are some special connections on these early ends. Then you have this pressure sensor, so we need to incorporate this one, move over this sensor right here, attach a vacuum hose connection and the blow off valve, of course. So that's what we have to do today, and I think this will be quite fun. So a bunch of cutting, grinding and welding leaves us with this result right here. So it's not fully tacked in. It's welded right here, this extension, but it needs to tack welded right here and then fully welded later on. But you want to have like a pretty solid and nice and mellow bend so it flows really good. So I think we achieved that, and we got the DO88 silicone hose all the way. which matches up really nice. Now we are going to need to make an output for this 6mm hose, which is a pressure sensor that's only on the early 9.5s. So we need to incorporate that. Then we need to extend this wire right here so it reaches down here. Same goes for the mass airflow sensor, but that sits originally right here, so the wires will be long enough just to plug and play. And we also need to make a cutout for the other sensor that we have right here. So originally they sit pretty close to each other. The vacuum hose goes right here for the pressure sensor, and this one goes below. So I have made a little plate, and this is the usual problem when you do custom stuff like this. So I had the tools to make a thread. This is a M10 times 1.25, so it's a pretty odd thread, and I had M10 times 1.5 and 1, which is a fine thread. So I didn't have the below, but I was lucky enough to borrow it from a friend, and now this fits. So we will just cut this plate out so it looks a little bit nicer, weld it on to the pipe, and also make a cutout for this vacuum hose. So we need to flatten the pipe a little bit, because otherwise this one will be leaking, because it's mainly supposed to be used on like silicone hose and stuff like that, but it could be used on piping if you just flatten the surface a little bit, otherwise it will start leaking straight away. But this piping is pretty big, so it won't be a problem, I think. So we will give it a go. The outputs, and I think it turned out really good. So this sensor will sit here attached to this right here, and then we have the other sensor down below. Next up is the blow-off valve, and you really have like two options. Either you could go with an atmospheric dump valve, because it really doesn't matter since we are going to run a pressurized mass airflow sensor. But I've heard a lot of stuff and from my tuner, so we will go with this and try to get it as close as OEM as possible, because Saab wasn't any stupid people. There was a lot of top engineers working, and they did everything, like everything, with a purpose. And all of the calibrations and everything in the systems are meant to be like it was built. So the car is very optimal as it is from factory. Just the small tweaks, of course you have to adjust some things because you're using bigger piping, etc. But the dump valve should be recirculating, and that's what we are going to do. That's why I put this 90-degree bend on the airflow. One is to get the air filter in the direct airflow so it will get the coldest air possible, even though the intercooler might generate a bit of heat, the radiator might generate a bit of heat, but it sits pretty freely where it sits right now compared to sitting in the engine bay close to the engine. So now we are going to try to place this OEM blow-off valve on straight after the intercooler, facing up towards the intake pipe. Then the setup will be pretty much as it is stock. So you can imagine just twisting this engine 90 degrees. What you have is the engine sits like this on the factory car. So you will have the turbo, and then you will have the intake pipe on this side right here, and you will have the recirculating dump valve going to the turbo. So this will be kind of similar, even though it will be in another direction, but the function will be the same as it is from factory. So that's what we are going with. Everything fully welded, everything is back on. It looks really good. We got the sensors in place, we just extend the wires. But I had one question earlier, pretty early in the build, that it would be hard to access and change the air filter. So I hope I got you thinking otherwise, because the grill just lifts up like that and then you have the filter, so it will be easier than any other car. But yeah, it looks really sick, everything, and it's coming together so nicely. And I think this will be a good option as well. It will be a stealth look, you will never see this. So I just need to get some more 25mm piping so I can attach it fully. So next up is to paint all the piping so it gets matte black or satin black, so it matches the rest and it looks nice and crisp. Then we also had to attach these two. These are also like vacuum hose that needs to be connected, and one should go from the evap to the crankcase ventilation to the intake, and one from the intake and then to the magnetic valve. So all of the piping has been painted matte black and it looks just stunning. I have reinstalled everything and now everything is installed with clamps. And I might not be the smartest person in the world because I installed all the piping, did a thorough wipe down of everything so it should look a little bit more presentable. But then I wanted to see how it would look with the front bumper on. So I started to cut and grind in the glass fiber. So what happens when you cut into glass fiber? It just messes down everything and it's like dusty for quite some while afterwards. So not the best idea I've come up with, but that's the way things go sometimes. But this looks very, very dope. So I need to adjust the intercooler down a little bit on the right side from here, so left side from the driver. But look how cool everything. You can see the blow-off valve in there. So I will remove the front so you will have a better look on the piping. Here you can see it a lot better. So I think it looks so clean in the matte black finish. And I think it turned out pretty good as well. The only thing is that it should be these type of clamps, which looks really clean. These are from DO88, but somehow I have calculated wrong, so I need a couple of more, but it's not the biggest deal, but 3 more of those so it gets the same. Here you can see how the additional couplings turned out. Very good, I think. So overall this starts to turn into something that's holding together. So in the bigger picture right now, what's like left to do before we can do a first startup, it's to install the tank and draw the AM6 lines to the fuel pump, not the fuel pump but the fuel rail, so we get some fuel to the engine. Install some spark plugs, which I have some special ones I have never used before, but they are getting more and more popular and this should be really good. This is Denso IQ24 spark plugs. Should be a lot better than the NGK standard plugs. Otherwise, Saabs are very known for using only NGK spark plugs and nothing else. But fix the fuel lines, install the tank. What's left to do? Build the exhaust, the downpipe and the rest of the exhaust. Could be nice to have before a first startup. We need to install the oil cooler and draw those lines. So there is some work left to do, but we are getting there. So I don't know how many videos I will do continuing on this project, if I just should focusing on getting the last of the stuff done so I can make a first startup. I don't know what you guys think. Please leave a comment down below if you want to see every step, or if I should just push it through and then we will have a first startup, because that's what I'm waiting for, and I know that you guys wait for it as well, but this stuff takes time. So that's it for this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Please give the video a thumbs up if you liked it. If you have any questions, leave a comment down below. Please subscribe to the channel, it means a lot to me. And I will see you in the next one. Bye!